I think a lot of people significantly underestimate the grave dangers and threats we all face in civil, somewhat free society right now.
Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds. The IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud, these are the new driving forces of evolution.
The new technocratic gods that will be ruling over us soon, as there was some major globalist shakeups recently that I believe aren't happening just by coincidence and accident here, as I specifically wanted to talk about this new PR change that's happening at the Globalist World Economic Forum and go deeper down the rabbit hole at the bigger globalist problems ahead of us as we are facing a major moment that's going to create a clash between the globalist banking class and Donald J. Trump. How old this clash looks like, as of course it looks like the face of globalism just officially stepped down and resigned. I want to talk about this video as well as some other rabbit holes and theories that you are only going to see discussed here. So subscribe and click the notification button. This is just a couple moments ago. We got the news that Klaus Schwab, the founder and chair of the World Economic Forum, retired after 55 years of being the PR marketing vessel of the globalist class. As Davos, the World Economic Forum, they were kind of a public PR agency for the Bilderberg Group and other secret societies out there that do conduct a lot of their meetings, a lot of their agendas, and carry them out all under the veil of secrecy. The World Economic Forum was a way of kind of introducing, of kind of slowly boiling the frog, of slowly getting people around the ideas of, human enslavement and destruction of all liberty and sovereignty. Yeah, it was an effort to soft code. It was an effort to just slowly try to win the hearts of minds by the globalist class through propaganda, engineering, manipulation, and psychological tips and tricks that were utilized by them. As of course, Klaus Schwab was a student of the Henry Kissinger school. Henry Kissinger was a big influence on Klaus Schwab. The two worked together very closely, and it's pretty clear here. Klaus Schwab was a puppet. He represented a man that was the underling of Kissinger for a very long time. Now, Kissinger is no longer with us, as we are seeing what I believe is the kind of shifting of the chair, the kind of changing of the puppet strings temporarily, as there's going to be a new Klaus Schwab, a new underling of the globalist class that will take his reign and try to push these larger bastardized ideas of global communism and humanity living under the boot of the ruling oligarchy and technocratic class that is becoming hipper and wiser with the new technology that they wish to wield and control like gods, treating us like peasants that clearly they believe that there's too many of. Now, if you look at a lot of the doctrine of the World Economic Forum, it is the most bastardized feudalistic wish list of eugenicists and individuals who clearly just believe there's too many people in this world and they got to be getting rid of. They believe that they are the rulers of this world, and they believe that we have to acquiesce, that we have to bow down, that we have to worship them. And their ideas were heavily criticized more than ever through Klaus Schwab's rule and reign at this globalist institution, as now people are asking, what's next? Well, the technocratic digital takeover of humanity is next. As of course, we went through multiple phases of them trying to put humanity on their knees here. As Klaus Schwab even talked about how, the global sickness, that by the way was engineered in the laboratory, that in my opinion was deliberately released to the general public. It was the first big step towards unprecedented control over mankind, and that's exactly what Klaus Schwab was over, as they were the biggest advocates of lockdowns. They were the biggest advocates of destroying mom and pop businesses, the biggest advocates of destroying everyone's life, just so the government could flex and see how much they could take away from the general public, as they were using China as their vessel state, as the perfect example of what they wanted everyone to live under.
President Xi Jinping to deliver the keynote address in Davos.
Schwab said Xi's presence was a sign of the shift from a unipolar world dominated by the United States to a more multipolar system in which rising powers like China will have a step up and play a bigger role.
I think it's a role model for many countries, but we have to go one step further.
Yeah, just total control. Yeah, not just lockdowns, not just barricading people inside of their apartments so they starve to death. Yeah, one more step, guys. As a lot of the World Economic Forum countries were following the same kind of protocols and guidelines of the restrictions against personal liberties, as Klaus Schwab even personally bragged about infiltrating the cabinet of Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau, who, of course, was another World Economic Forum globalist puppet that used to cheerlead China and say how great it was, how they could just turn their economy on the dime. They're so great. They're awesome. They're incredible. As there's a lot of human rights concerns that no one really cared to consider here in all of this, as the Chinese model was something that, of course, they were implementing and trying out in China to see how the rest of the world would deal with an overwhelming amount of government in their life here. I mean, some of the statements here, we're going to keep playing them, and then we're going to tell you about this kind of bigger threat with the U.S. Federal Reserve banking system against Donald Trump in a little bit. Before we do, we wanted to tell you about wearechange.shop. I'm very proud of this shop. I love this shop. I worked very hard on this shop, and we have a Mother's Day bundle that you need to get right now, since it's going to be very easy, quick, and convenient for you to do your Mother's Day shopping. As, of course, you could give her the gift of health. We have it here on my particular desk here, and you get mailed this box here with the lovely stickers, with the ruffle papers that also, look at that. Look at that. It sparkles. Women like the sparkle stuff. And then inside of the bag here, look at this. You get a sticker. Oh, no, I broke the box. You get a sticker here that says to, from, Happy Mother's Day. Give it to your baby mama. Give it to your mom. And then look at that. Look at that presentation in there. That's some professional next level stuff, as, of course, we're probably going to have to increase the price of this very soon. We already had to increase it once. We're going to increase it again. You still get an incredible offer of value with your Mother's Day bundle, all exclusively on wearechange.shop there. And you get magnesium glycinate, which helps out, chill out the women, helps them get some better rest, some better sleep. You get them common sense creatine, which have shown to increase cognitive function, as there's going to be some misogynists that are going to say, yeah, women definitely need an increase in that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying some men will. Some misogynists, bad guys, they'll say that. I'm not saying that. But there are a lot of really good studies highlighting how, especially older women, when they take creatine, it has very positive effects on their mental abilities and their cognitive functions. As, of course, the older we get, the more people just start losing their minds. There's magnesium mist that they're able to put on their feet just right before they go to sleep. And we got an eye roller so they can look all nice and pretty. So all of that, 4-item bundle, just for $84. Again, the price is I'm gonna have to make sure the price goes up, because this is just way too much of a good product there. Especially, look at this presentation. Look how nice this is. You don't even have to do anything as a man. Get it right now. wearechange.shop, and do your part to keep your mama or your baby mama happy here. Now, the Chinese society is the society that they wanted to implement all around the world here, as we have to understand here. These guys were just like, yeah, well, we pretty much infiltrate governments. That's what we do, and we implement their agenda. And I would argue that the governments that have been most impacted by them, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, China, have been the biggest proponents of getting rid of individual liberty, individual freedom, and propelling some of the wokest, most destructive ideas in our society that clearly are there in order to destroy us and tear us apart for the clear benefit of the ruling class. But here's Klaus Schwab saying it himself, bragging about it. And this is the stuff he said publicly. Imagine the stuff that he said privately.
What we are very proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina, and so on, is that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was
Always penetrate to the cabinets. They don't do that. They literally go to government and like, yeah, we're going to own you. We're going to put our people in there, and then you're going to implement our agenda, and you're going to tell people that they're going to live in the pods, they're going to have no privacy, they're going to eat the bugs, and they're going to be happier than ever. And the politicians, the whores of the globalist establishment are like, okay, I'll tell them. And Klaus is like, I penetrate you. And the politicians are like, okay. Yeah, especially the Canadian soy boys. Like, oh, yeah. Please, globalists, penetrate me, please.
was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are for our actually young global leaders of the world.
You slave. Again, I think this guy needs to be criminally investigated for all of the horrible things that he promoted during 2020, 2021. The agenda that he pushed had so many negative, nefarious effects on the world, and I believe he deserves to be held responsible for it. But is his resignation a sign that the globalists are over? No, they're just turning over a new technocratic leaf here. I do believe that the next kind of big stage fight that's going to be happening between the populists and with Donald Trump and the globalist class is going to be the big battle that's happening and shaping up, and we've been warning about, that's going to be happening between the U.S. Federal Reserve banking system, which is also globalist hijacked and controlled, versus Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump has voiced his criticisms, and a lot of people are saying that he's playing the long game here, and he's doing tariffs in order to make sure that interest rates goes down. And he has, according to many reports, been trying to get these interest rates to go down since the United States has some big loans to pay for all the money that they borrowed, huge sums of money, and they want to refinance with the lower interest rate. Now, some people argue Trump's creating instability in the markets to make sure that the Federal Reserve banking system does this, and the Federal Reserve banking system is not going to do this, as there's some people speculating. And I believe that this could potentially happen here, and this is important to note here. I believe the Federal Reserve, they're not just not going to lower the interest rates. I think they're going to increase the interest rates, and that's going to set off an insane situation that's going to directly counteract Donald Trump, that is meant to specifically send him a signal sent to attack his administration and to send a larger message against the financial security and freedom of the United States that the Federal Reserve System is going to be flexing on Donald Trump against. Now, we got this article here from Reuters saying dollar hits 3-year low as Trump attacks threatens Fed independence. And the dollar fell shortly across the board. Swiss francs hit decades high. The euro rose to 1.15. And European markets closed for Easter Monday, highlighting that this battle is just shaping up. And I truly do believe the Federal Reserve quasi-public-private banking system, the central banking system, that right there is going to be the biggest battle for Donald Trump's legacy as president of the United States. All of this as the Dow just dropped more than 1,000 points as Trump renewed his criticisms for the Federal Reserve banking system, as Donald Trump previously stated that if he wants Jerome Powell to step down, he can make him step down. Jerome Powell has something to say about that, and he probably will not be doing that, as Donald Trump has called Jerome Powell, quote, a major loser. Oh, goodness. This is going to be a very interesting battle that's going to be unfolding here. As clearly, Donald Trump is trying to implement protectionist, America First policies, and the globalist hijacked Federal Reserve banking system is going to have its own kind of interest here, as this is the institution that I believe needs to be audited. This is the institution that I believe needs to be put in check, and a lot of presidents that try to put the U.S. Federal Reserve banking system in check, a lot of them just coincidentally get shot sometimes. Is that why Donald Trump potentially got shot here? Who knows? I don't know. That's just pure speculation here on my end. But this CBS News article reads, the shaky start in the U.S. stock market on Monday follows another volatile week in the stock market as investors weigh how the Trump administration's tariffs and a potential Fed shakeup might impact economic activity. Notwithstanding the recent relief for electronic goods, the tariffs on China are leading to a standstill in some trade activity, said Tim Dewey, chief economist at SGH Macro Advisors. In research notes, stocks also took a hit last Wednesday after Fed Chief Powell warned that tariffs could drive up U.S. inflation and stifle growth here. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how all of this kind of unfolds in the general public here. Because and again, I've been saying this too. I mean, look at the markers. Gold surging $3,400. Trump threatening the Federal Reserve banking system. I think it's fair to say that there is going to be a lot more tumultuous of a situation in our financial sector, as we're going to realize, the government doesn't control the economy. The Federal Reserve banking system that runs in such a scammy way ever since 1913 doesn't have our best interest at heart here, and they are some of the biggest kind of players that will be utilizing and institutionalizing policies that I think could potentially lead us down a pathway, not just towards a recession, but a potential kind of Great Depression. And we saw Ray Dalio warn about the dangers of a Great Depression coming up. And I think there's a possibility for this to happen. As I've been warning, hey, as soon as Donald Trump gets elected, I see them trying to tank. I see them trying to destroy the U.S. economy. And the way that they would carry this out would be kind of a smart way, because what better way to counteract Donald Trump's populist policies, protectionist policies that actually are good. They're not carried out in the best of ways. They're not smooth like people would expect them to be, obviously. But this decoupling from China was a long time in the works here. This was something that a lot of people were saying was going to happen eventually. I think this kind of focus, especially with AI and technology changing the way it is, but manufacturing changing the way it is, the country with the means of production here will be able to control the world, as well as the company that develops artificial intelligence. Incentivizing and trying to get some sort of manufacturing and robotics built here in the United States safeguards our kind of future as the number one hegemonic power, because with everything now becoming more digital, becoming more robotic, becoming more technologically advanced here, if the United States is just going to be a consumer class, is just going to be buying stuff instead of making stuff. And again, the Chinese made a joke, and there was AI videos of fat Americans at the slave labor shops. A funny video, but it's robots that are going to be doing this. We are going to be seeing a very drastic change in our economy that is going to create a situation that the globalists have been trying to achieve for a very long time. There's a reason Yuval Harari keeps talking about useless eaters and a useless population. That's because that's the trajectory that we are on. You add that with a not favorable banking system and the way that it is unfolding, you add that to AI and the developments that are happening there, we are headed towards some very interesting times where I think the globalist class kind of understands we don't even need more PR. We don't even need more, we don't even need to sell you guys the ideas, because we're just going to take over and you're not going to be able to do anything about it. I think that's their thinking here, as previously kind of described here by Yuval Harari.
Computing power, you can understand people better than they understand themselves, and then you can manipulate them in ways which were previously impossible. You know, the whole idea that humans have this soul or spirit and they have free will, that's over.
That's big right there. Yeah, human soul, spirit, over. What? Hey, I like my human soul. I like my human spirit. I like having my own individual, unique kind of identity. Can I have that, please? Can I please hold on to that? Can we please not propel towards, technocratic annihilation? And they're like, no, nine, you cannot. We penetrate you. Blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, crap. It's not looking good. Not looking good at all.
Now, how exactly will the future masters of the planet look like?
Globalist. That control. The AI. That's my own personal, individual, unique take on it, as this enters us into some very unique conversations. I expect the next shoe to drop to be financial. I think that's going to be a big, major kind of change that's going to change the world many times over. I think we're going to have a major galvanizing event this year that will change life forever. Bet on it. That's my own individual prediction. But hey, in between then, show your mama and your baby mama some love. Get her the bundle on wearechange.shop. Subscribe. Click the notification button. We got more videos coming here your way exclusively, all on youtube.com/wearechange.